Derek, don't walk away. Yes, you have to attend.
But they need, I thought there might be some notes or something.
No, I don't have any notes. Okay, Lynn is helping me to pass a slip of paper, and I would like you to write down your name on it and fold it into two halves. Write your name on it and fold it up. You still need to write out. I will let you speak first. Roll it into two halves. Okay, fold it into two halves. One more time. Fold it into two halves. Fold it into two halves. I will let you know why I'm doing this later. Did you put it in? Okay. Actually, I found this in 3 halves because it's too big. Thank you. Did you write down your name? Alright, my reason of doing this is I always care about the fairness in my classroom. I have to give equal rights to everybody to have a chance to speak. I have the reason of doing this because one of the students I have taught in the past, I remember one night I have received a very lengthy message from her mom, and her mom was going to sue me for deliberately ignoring her son, because her son has actually kept a record of how many times he put out his hand and I didn't call him. How many times he felt I deliberately missed calling him or missed to give him a chance to speak. So it was pretty amazing because I have never expected any of my students to keep a record of how many times I let him speak or I let him come to the front to do anything for me. So starting from that day, I felt in my class I always had raffles. Because for us, we are one teacher to face 20 students, and we get 2 classes. For 4 teachers, you have maybe 120 or up to 200 students. You will never remember how many times you ask one student to speak of a week. But a student will definitely remember, because you are the only one standing in front. So later, I will have a lot of questions, and I will draw from this raffle, and I will let everybody have a chance to speak or share some of your story. Talking about me, I have taught English for 18 years. This is my 19th year. So when they asked me to prepare for class management, I thought a lot, and I find out. For me, the golden key to succeeding teaching, I felt there are only 3 aspects. You have to set your heart right. What does it mean, your heart? Your heart means your attitudes. Do you love the job? Do you love what you do? And to set your hardware neat. What is your hardware? Your hardware is about your classroom, and the facilities, your desks and chairs, how you arrange it, and also about your textbook. software is about how you do class management and also how well you prepare for the lessons. So I felt that if you set the three things right, and nothing will really go wrong. Because I found out that there is not even one textbook which can equip a teacher with all the techniques to tackle all the problems you face every single day. Because every day, even now it's the 19th year, I have still faced some kind of problems I have never met before. But I find out if I have the right heart, and nothing will go wrong, because when there's a will, there's a way. So now I need you guys to discuss in groups. We have to trace back exactly why did you choose teaching as a job. It is just a job for you, or it's like a lifetime career, and what is your self-drive? And do you have a story behind that made you a teacher today? So I want you to discuss with your neighbors now. And later I will let some of you share your stories. Back to the time when you were in 20s. When was the first time you started teaching and why? Finish discussing about that and think about your the time when you just graduated from university. What made you choose to be a teacher? Were you inspired by anyone in your life? Are there any volunteers? I will listen to your stories first and I will share my stories with you. Okay, I'm pretty fair. I will not just let you speak. I have my part of the story, but I would like to know other people's stories as well. So, you want to volunteer?
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I wish I could could say I got into teaching for some noble cause or wish to improve society. But I think in my case, it was kind of a maybe fate or luck or a lack of luck. I'm not sure. I came to Taiwan for 2 weeks and ended up staying 15 years so far. I'm an American, but I grew up in South Africa. So when the black government transition happened, things were great for a long time, a few years, while Mandela was in power. But then things changed, and my previous life became just ridiculously hard. I was in business. I owned factories. I owned shops. I owned houses. I lost everything, pretty much, in a few short years. Not everything, but just things became really difficult, and the future became harder for white people. So, because my family is American, most of my family left South Africa and emigrated back to the States. I decided to stay behind and see how things would work out. Anyway, long story short, I came to Taiwan for 2 weeks, and my wife is Taiwanese, but I met her 6 years before in South Africa. Anyway, so she studied there, and I came here just to see what Taiwan was like, and to meet her parents and to meet her family. And after that, while I was here, someone knew I could speak English, so they said, well, would you like to come and just sub for a little while? So I had no knowledge. I went to sub somewhere, and I just happened to like the kids that I was with a lot. You know, it wasn't that I wasn't pretending to be a great teacher or anything. It's just I kind of fell into it, and decided that teaching here wasn't such a bad thing. And after that, I went and I did a TESOL, and I actually learned how to teach a bit. And then I ended up working for lots of schools. Yeah, I think for me, teaching has been a learning experience about other people and about myself, and about kind of implementing ideals that I hold dear, things that I think are important. And I totally agree with Gina when it comes to the things that she's mentioned so far. I remember as a teenager reading a book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I probably said that wrong. But in The Art of War, he says, the battle is won in preparation. And I remember also in South Africa there was a very famous golfer. His name is Gary Player. He's kind of like a South African Tiger Woods. He won the Golf Masters, I think 8 or 9 times. Anyway, he's a South African celebrity, and he said something very important once. He said that I've appreciated a lot. And he said, it's a strange thing about practice. Practice doesn't necessarily make me win golf tournaments, but the strange thing is the more I practice, the luckier I get. And I think that's very true of teaching as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I forgot to mention volunteer will get presents. Are there any volunteers? Who would like to share the story? Then I have to draw. Ariel. Do you want to come to front?
Alright, I'll share how I did become a teacher. Why I become a teacher, I think it's because my mom chose for me. Because both of my parents are teachers. So I think that, okay, I think it's fun for you to become a teacher too. So then I just follow my mom's will, and then I start the teacher's lessons, and then I go to elementary school to have the practice and then get the license, and then I just come to the school. But after like 4 and 5 years so far, I think that I like to teach because I like how students react to me in daily classes. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, one more. Any volunteers? Caroline.
Actually, I have no idea what to say. Okay, I just answer your question. Is it just a job for me? For me, yes. It is just a job for me. And I have 2 kids. But you know what? I think from some students, I learn a lot from them. And when I go home, I will think about different ways to treat my sons. So that maybe that is just a job for me, but I think it's a good job. Okay.
Alright, now it's my turn to share my part stories, and maybe you want to get your t-shirts ready. I don't know how many of you have known me now about my personal life. I grew up in a single family. My memory of my family during childhood was mostly about stalking and scolding and smashing. I needed to wake up in the middle of the night just to sweep the shredded glasses on the floor. So eventually, when I was 7, my parents finally officially got divorced. And my father is a very dedicated businessman. And my mom, she's a certified teacher. So when my mom was still there, my scores were like totally straight A. And ever since my parents got divorced, of course my score went all the way down to the bottom, just dropped horribly. And my mom was not allowed to visit us. I probably only saw my mom like 2 times each semester. And she needed to kind of sneak her way out or went to wait for me at a bus stop, and just on my way home from the bus stop to home, she could just have a short talk with me. I told a lot of friends that what is the holiday I hate the most of the year, and that is Chinese New Year, because it's meant to be family reunion. But for me, it's about a fight and conflict of which side of parents I must visit. And there were 10 years out of my childhood, I hadn't met my grandparents at all. So when I was 20, my grandparents came to visit me. They couldn't recognize me because they hadn't seen me for 10 years. But my story is not just about how I grew up. My story is, along the way, my life was different because my parents got divorced. I didn't get a lot of support. And not to mention in the neighborhood, back to the time of 30 years ago, being a child in a a single family or getting divorced was considered a shame. So we were pretty unpopular in the community. And all the parents, they didn't want their children to hang out with me and my brother because they felt that we are unwanted children. So, but I felt that I was very lucky that throughout my life I had met a lot of remarkable teachers. And my teachers didn't focus on my scores. They focused more on how to inspire me, focused more on how to encourage me to value myself. And my home teacher at elementary school, she actually wrote pretty inspiring books for me each semester, like autobiography of a great man, to encourage me every year, non-stop until I graduated. And not to mention that my high school home, for 3 years in senior high, she hadn't even stopped one day calling me in the morning to wake me up and ask me if she needed to prepare breakfast for me or not. Because she knew that I couldn't study unless I finished the chores at home. Because my father, when my teachers found that I had potential in English and wanted to recommend me to apply for high school, but it's away from Taichung, my father, without thinking, just turned it down. And my father dragged me aside, talked to me in person, and he said to me, "You have to know your life. You have to put yourself last. Because your job is to look after family and look after your brother. So you cannot go anywhere away from your family. So you cannot go to apply for that school." But I felt that the reason that I am the way I am now is because of all the teachers I have met in the past. They supported me and they encouraged me and they never gave up on me. Despite maybe academically I was not a pretty sharp student, but I value me just the way I am. So I think that's the reason I wanted to be a teacher, because I wanted to pass this love forward. Because I have received so much from them and I have known how much they have influenced me in my life. And that's my part of the story. And my second story, I got a permission from my Honda to share. As you know that my Honda has been very dedicated to losing shoes. And not to mention he has to come in every morning, like around 6:30 to water all the plants, to take care of the pets. And on the weekend he has to be here as well. I have not even one time wondered where he has received all this energy and motivation to keep on doing that. Because not many people really understand what he's doing. And along the way, he actually receives more questioning and obstruction than encouragement and any substantial support. And so he told me a story that inspired him. He told me before he came to Canada. He was a teacher in Canada as well. And one of his students, called Spencer, he didn't know he was pretty well behaved and the smartest kid in his class. He didn't know that until the night before he passed away, and that he has got cancer. And his fellow student left him a note and to appreciate what he has taught him and how much he has inspired him, and that he will wish this, that he will carry on doing what he has been doing. So he told me whenever he encountered any challenges, he thought of what Spencer has left for him, so he cannot give him too easily. Right, that's his part of the story. So after that, I want you guys to also think about how important do you consider role a teacher plays in a child's life. Can you discuss with your group and neighbors first? Okay, any volunteers? Are there anyone want to volunteer first? Anita? Anyone? Okay, great. Only volunteers will receive presents.
I think a teacher can be really important to the students. It depends on how much your information can be received by the students. As we know, just like we have some kids that really pay attention and really listen to you, but for some of them, they just cannot probably receive your message. So I think it depends. But yes, I believe because we're not only convey the knowledge to them, but we also teach them how to do the right thing in their life. So yes, I think it's important.
Thank you. One more. You, Anita.
Oh, I have a present.
No. I'm gonna get a present. But you know what? You're gonna be drawn anyway because I just drew your name. Thank you. Johnson County France.
I'm nervous. I think it depends on his age. Because if you teach the younger students, I think what you say is more important than the kids mom say. Because my son is always not listening. But if I say, here, your teacher best say blah 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 blah, then he will follow. So I think that and for the elder students, it's just you only can give them a suggestion, guidance, because I have 2 level students. They grade 2 and grade 5. Grade 2 student is always follow your instruction. They always listen to you, and they never say no. But in grade 5, they whatever you say, they will say, oh no, you just blow up. Okay, let us talk back. So I think they need a guide and a suggestion. Okay, they don't have to follow instruction because they think that's like too that it's not cool to listen to a teacher. Okay, that's all.
Thank you. Don't worry about it, I'm nervous as well, even though I talk to all of you all the time and hold my phone. But every time when I need to come to the front, I'm always nervous. But as a teacher, you have to think. It doesn't matter how unsure you are and how nervous you are. As you have been a teacher for a certain time, I kind of always joke with my friends, I feel being a teacher is also like being an entertainer. And it's like an entertaining career, so in the front you need to act. And your play is class. So even I'm nervous, I have to hide it away. Even I'm not sure, I was like, that's an interesting question. I had never thought about it. Let me check it out. Okay, so you cannot let them know you're not prepared or you don't know, because that will let them doubt about your ability. So, okay, this is not clear, and it's not to show you the figure of a woman. And the reason I chose this is because the slogan on the t-shirt. It says a teacher takes a hand, opens a mind, and touches a heart. And that is how important a teacher is in a children's life, in a child's life. And another thing is the best teacher teach from the heart, not from the books. If you have the heart, it doesn't matter what you teach, how difficult your contents are. With the heart, you will try your best to make it the best you can. My other question is, there are some teachers that say, oh, they are lucky, they always teach advanced students. And they are unlucky, they always teach up-level students. And would like to know what you guys think about that. What level do you consider most challenging to teach? Is up-level, regular, advanced, or super advanced? I was the person who has taught the only one super advanced class ever in Washington, 15 years or 16 years. And tell me why. Okay, so spend some time talking to your friends and let me know what level you think is the most challenging to teach and why. Adjustments, touching stories. Do you want to volunteer? Okay, John and Chris, our question so far is to discuss what level do you consider most challenging to teach, and which co-workers, your neighbors. Chris, maybe you want to sit next to John. There are off levels, regular advanced, or super advanced. We don't have it now because I was the only person who ever taught the only class super advanced. And let me know why. Alright, any volunteers? Vivi. Yeah, because you're just worried about what prize you'll receive.
I think off label is the most challenging label because I think some of them they are not really on the label, and some of the students they don't really care about learning. And I think a teacher need to train them forward. That is a very difficult task. So I think the off label is the most challenging. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, any volunteers? No more volunteers? Volunteer will receive presents. Yeah, I have been doing that. Teacher, what have you been doing? You're absent minded. Who has received present from me? Oh, you didn't get your present? Okay, sorry. Oh, you were not yeah, only volunteer, yes. So more volunteers? Okay, sorry, Patricia.
I don't think what label should be, what kind of case you mean. For the challenge is not about label, because all regular and base for me is all the same. The difference is case. Because, they're studying action or learning actions, mentors. Yeah, mentor results. And then one thing, if you can teach here, you can teach anywhere.
That's true. If you can teach in a private school like this, you can teach anywhere. So one more person to share.
I think that's kind of bad because Washington is such a good city.
Jerry already showed the one that Terry again. But this time there's no person in there, it's just a raffle.
Okay, everyone. I think it's kind of amusing because my partner today, William, and William and I actually started teaching many years ago together at Erin Elementary School.
And I graduated from Erin Elementary School.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think William and I shared our first, he just got out of college when I was his first co-teacher as a foreign teacher. So it's kind of interesting that we're working together here and talking about these things. So what I think that you get two kinds of, like, as we mentioned, I think you get, for me anyway, I've taught very advanced classes, but not here. And what I find with the very advanced classes is that you get personality issues. Generally, I found you get, because the kids are very strong in English, and generally pretty competitive, their personalities clash. Strongly. So I find that the strongest students, both girls and boys, doesn't really matter. They have these conflicts and issues with each other because of the competitiveness. The lower level kids have their own problems. Like has been said, attitude is a huge issue, especially for very slow learners who really have almost given up. I think that can happen, and then it's really difficult to keep them on track. And at the same time, having said that, I think that off level can also be fun because the kids are less competitive and they don't have so many personality issues. So I think it just depends on how you approach it really, and how much effort you're willing to put into helping the kids who are off level and helping the kids who are very strong in those classes to move forward. So yeah, that's what I think.
Alright, now it's my turn to share my two stories. I have experience in teaching the up level. A collection of all the notorious naughty kids. And out of 17 students, there were 13 very dumb students. When I first took over the class, I was pretty shocked that when I asked them to turn in homework, out of 17, I will only receive 1 or 2. And I basically needed to guard the door every day before they left to receive things from them. And what I received was mostly worksheets in blank. So, I'm a teacher, I care about discipline a lot. I wouldn't allow it to happen. So, since 13 of them are dumb students, so I decided, even with free of charge, I asked them to stay in my classroom till the moment they turn their homework or they don't leave. And I kept so many of them until 7 and 7:30. And what I received was still pieces of paper in blank. And you could see their face of a puzzle, and they were anxious and they couldn't leave and they just couldn't do anything. So I was wondering why, because it was my first time teaching a kid at this level. So when I went to talk to each of them, I just realized they are basically illiterate in English. They couldn't even understand what was listed on the worksheets. Not to mention they understand the contents. So in class, the reason they will just throw all this fit or have all this behavior was because they totally didn't understand what they are learning about. So I just spent some time to keep most of them and for a whole semester, and I got less and less students that needed my help. So I told them that I would try my best to help them. But I had to turn their homework because that is a demonstration of responsibility. They had to present so I can evaluate how well they learn. If they don't turn in, I will never know what kind of problems they have encountered. And I have experience in teaching the only one unprecedented super advanced class here. Those students, some of them, I started teaching them when they were grade 2. To teach super advanced students, you cannot come in a classroom without preparation. Because those kids, they have amazing memory. When I was teaching them when they were in grade 6, they could easily state a day, the unit, when, what I said 4 years ago, what I had taught them. So you have to be well prepared. But let me tell you a story about what happened in super advanced. As you know that when they are grade 5 and 6, they are busy preparing for private school entrance examination. So since it's super advanced, it's pretty competitive. For first place, second place, third place, it's basically covering the whole class. The only difference is less than 1 point. Just for second place, I could have 5 students. Third place, I could have another 6 students. So when one day after the first assessment of grade 6, I had a visitor. It's a mom from one of my students. She was very, very angry. She told me that she couldn't understand why I didn't return any mock worksheets or quizzes. As for her son couldn't prepare for his first assessment. Of course, which is not true. So she was very angry and claiming being irresponsible and didn't update parents in time. And also because that semester, her mom just passed away. So she did write in the contact book that she is very busy, so she probably wouldn't sign a contact book every day. So I didn't know that she didn't check anything. So it was already like half of a semester. She was asking me where all these worksheets are. She asked me to return all the worksheets and quizzes at one time. I told her I'm sorry about that. I will collect everything. Once I have everything, I will contact her right away. But when I talked to her, my only thought in my head was, I did return, I did do everything. My first wonder was, what made that student feel he must lie to his mom? He's also a pretty tough student, a very, very quiet and very, very diligent student. So I asked the student to come to me during the break. After all classmates left, I told him that his mom dropped by asking me about the review sheets. And I asked him if he knows where the worksheets are and quizzes are. And of course, you could see his eyebrows were rolling, kind of sense of guilt. And I say, you are not my student for the first year. I have taught you for 3 years. I have everything in order. I check everything. It's not possible I didn't return. You know it, I know it. But it's okay, I understand you are under a lot of stress. I just want to let you know I care more about why you feel you needed to hide away all these worksheets. Not to mention, I didn't feel that you didn't score well. They were all above 90. And he quickly replied, 90 is not enough for my mom. My mom only wanted to see 98, 99, or best 100. I can't possibly go home with these worksheets. She is gonna be furious. I'll be in trouble. I said, okay, I understand. But you cannot keep on hiding this all away and keep on lying to your mom. I'm not blaming you, and I didn't tell your mom a bit about what you have done, but I knew. And I just want you to know, you are great students. In life, people will encounter lots of ups and downs. You cannot just choose to hide away. And even as a score of the way it is, I still value the way you are. I want you to know, I know you try your very best. I don't blame you at all. And I feel like maybe you need to talk to your mom about her expectation. And the same night, about 9 o'clock, I received his mom's phone call. His mom was very emotional and very apologetic to apologize to me. She told me she had received all the worksheets and she has known all the story. And she also told me that she needed to reflect herself. Maybe she has set the expectation way too high for her son. So she will make some adjustment as well. And she really appreciated how understanding I am to give her son a chance to fix his wrong right. So, both of them, any level students are actually all hard to teach and also all easy to teach. But their mindsets are different. For advanced students, maybe it's easy to teach them knowledge, but you have to prepare enough knowledge to fill them in. And also you have to know they are students along their lifetime. They have been straight A. So they don't accept failure very much. It's very competitive. For off-level students, they have maybe spent most of their life being told by a lot of people that they are not good enough. So actually, they need more recognition from teachers and to recognize their other values, to show them they are still enough. To focus on more what they are enough, so make them your ally, so you can help them with their academic performance. Because they have been very frustrating throughout their life. I have told other teachers as well, actually they are more sensitive to your comments than any other students. They need a lot of self-recognition. So this is a picture that I have seen online. I think it's worth thinking. In classroom, are we providing students equality or equity? We take the students, they're tall, like their English ability. We feel that we are giving students either the top or the middle or the bottom student the same set of material. And we consider ourselves being very fair. But it is really fair. And the girls is already not fair. They have different length of learning English. They have different ability in English. So should we provide them equity? Because when students are already on top and they can do more things independently, and students who are on the bottom, they actually need more scaffolding and assistance. So when you go into each class, you have to elaborate your approaches to teach. Maybe you're teaching the same content, but you have to elaborate your approaches because you are teaching different level of students exactly the same content, but they are not on the fair grounds. So that's the thing we have to think about it. In our classroom, most of the problematic students, are they problematic or they are just students with problems? When you label your students as problematic students, you kind of reason each of his misbehavior in classes. You just say, it's just, again, doing something naughty. But if you change the attitude, treat them as students with problems, maybe problem at home, maybe problem among their peers, maybe problem with learning, then it's more likely you can tackle the problems. You can offer them prompt assistance. So I believe for kids, nobody was born bad, or nobody wished to make teacher scold him and get angry every day. They might have been having some issues themselves. They cannot stop themselves. And the reason they come to school to learn is because they don't know. And that's why we have our job. Our job is to teach them and to equip them with all the skills. Not just about the intelligence and knowledge of the textbook, it's also about the skills to solve problems, tackle problems in life. Okay, can we take a 5-minute break to go to the bathroom and refill the water? I'll come back later.
I like that you said it.
App Store. I can't use the news. It's a system that they just like somebody here to
Teacher, that's again
so I'm gonna have to buy it.
another hour and we can
You can't
go to do our business.
lunch.
Yes. We spent an hour talking about how to set your ROI because I think it's very important. I deeply believe attitudes matters because when you don't have the right attitude, you don't have to talk about any hardware. It doesn't matter what kind of customer you're given, what kind of textbook you are given, because your motivation is gone. So it's very important that you have the motivation, you know what you're doing. So now we have set our right. Now we have to set our classroom with our hardware neat. Okay? And I think first thing is about how do you arrange your seat. I know here there are a lot of very experienced teachers. That's practically just my experience. When I make seat arrangement, I kind of mix all my top $1,000,000 students for each group deliberately. I found some, they have the leadership. Some they are the middle ones. They probably can do paperwork, they are pretty diligent. And there are some that need assistance. I deliberately group them together. However, even though the seat has been arranged, we do know how kids influence each other. You do have to always observe that and change seats on a regular basis. For me, it's like once a month. Because once a month, I can observe enough to know some are the positive influence of the group. Some are the negative influence of the group. And then I have to pick the positive one, remove the negative one. And when I remove the negative one, I will skillfully put it into the group. He is not likely to start a riot because I know the rest are too strong for him to be influential in the group. So he's less likely to influence them. So this is something mostly homeroomers they have to think about. Yes.
Would it be okay for us to set the seating for our class better? So sometimes there are students that I think need to be up front or something. If they're in the back and they don't pay attention, and I want them up here where I can be on. Is that okay for us to do?
I think that's okay. You have the right to make the arrangement what's best for your class. But of course, since you are working with another teacher, and you need to give her a heads up. You cannot just do it yourself. And I believe when you explain to her why you're doing it, they will definitely support you. And another thing is to set the flow smooth. I have a long time, and I often go into some classes, not all of them, most of them are pretty ordered. But some I always wonder, how could the kids get tripped over on the way to get their textbook? Because they basically have to walk over so many obstacles to the opposite side of the shop just to get one textbook, to get one workbook. So when I arrange seats, maybe I was lucky I had arranged to be in a classroom with shelves on both sides. I will assign this side shelf to students sit on this side. And the left side of the student will be assigned to use the left side of the shelf. So I will put this into consideration when they come to the classroom, they walk to turn the homework, they go to put away their self-belonging, and this flow pretty smooth. Or they have to go through a lot of friends as for they forgot what their task. Because it will be chatting with their friends and forgot about what they were doing. This happens a lot, especially to lower level students. If they have to go through 7 friends, I think by the time they reach the 3rd, they already forgot. And then the bell goes, and then they were doing everything in a rush. So you have to set the flow smooth. How they're walking, how they do everything. You have to put it into consideration, not just randomly. And for me, I had experience teaching morning class, 1st grader, 6th grader in the afternoon. When I arranged this, I found out young kids, it's better to not let them move too much because they are not as organized and as efficient as the elder one. So for things they need to take and put away pretty often, so I let them use the desk, the drawer of the desk. And I assigned the high level to use the shop. I personally think it's worked much better because when you let younger kids move around, a lot of times they don't know what they are doing, and they will be chatting with friends and they forget about what they're staying up for, what food they need to get. Another thing is you have to set the board, the class schedule, and the rules where it's easy to see. Some teacher will put it somewhere that kids can see because you have to always make the visualized students, see the thing as a reminder. And it's also easier for you to reinforce it. And keep the classroom neat and ordered. I'm kind of like an E3 when I was as a homeroom because for everything I ask them to turn in, everything I need to ask them to place in order. But I believe when you have things in order, their minds are in order. They are more likely to think things through because when the classroom environment is messy and you want their head to be clear, it's kind of contradict each other. And set your classroom decoration helpful. There are some teachers that put decorations wrong, but some they do put something which related to what the kids have been doing. Some just to make this look beautiful, but it's not really helping. Let me see a few examples. A lot of teachers say, oh, my students here are lower levels. They can't speak English at all. They just want to speak Chinese all the time, even when they want to ask you how to pronounce a word, how to say something in English. They just don't know how to say it. But you question yourself, do you provide enough information and help in the classroom to assist them? If you put this one just not right next to the whiteboard where they have to walk in, every time they don't remember what to say, you can just point to this board. This is Daisy's idea, by the way. I know a lot of other teachers, you have very useful decoration as well, but I just happened to go in a few while I was observing some people's classes, so I took a few pictures. So for starfish, you put this one in the doorway. So most of the students are, like 80 or 90% of students are visual. Only maybe 10% are auditory. So when you keep on repeating something and you also give them some visual aids, it's more likely they will remember it. And for her, this is where Steffi puts, just by the place where she put all the pencil sharpener. Because we often have kids say, can I lend your scissors? It's borrowed. So she has a sentence written here, very clearly to differentiate the difference between borrow and lend. And also, may I sharpen my pencil, please? Just right in front of the place she placed the pencil sharpener. So every time the kids go there, I wonder how to ask if he or she has got a permission to use the pencil sharpener. Perhaps just right in front of it. This is from Vicky's classroom. Oftentimes we wonder, kids don't understand instruction, but she has a board with a very simple cute picture to tell them what does speak mean, read, color, look, and a pretty simple instruction. This one is a little blurry. And about phonics, where we're teaching word family, she has also got a board with all this word family they will be learning in phonics. And this is when I went to American school with Mike. Before the teacher showed up, I just took a picture of the classroom. They have also a board with all the science vocabulary and math vocabulary, those important words. You don't have to make it perfect. It basically just handwritten. But every day they learn something, you just put it there, keep on reminding them, whenever they need this tool, the tool is just right there. And this is from Williams. He's pretty humble to say it's nothing worth sharing. But I think because he's teaching high level kids, he has got a board with all these reading genres. So whenever they're asked for a genre, they can easily just take a look and know which genre that story is about. Because maybe for poetry, it's difficult for kids to remember. If they get to see, it's more likely they know what to say. Because maybe they have an impression of what that is, but it just couldn't put the words together. Or like autobiography or realistic fiction. And he has a board. And this is the biggest classroom. And it's pretty neat. She has set everything in order, where to put folder, what folder first, what folder in the middle, what folder in the left, all the t-shirt left. And everything turned in a very neatly pile. This one is not clear. This is my previous classroom. My students had all the folders turning and everything in order. And this one, I took it out to share with because this was what kids from Daniels did for their team because they care about the score. They prepared the textbook ahead before the science teacher came in. So they set everything ready before they left for a break. So now, it's a question for you again. Now, we have all this hardware. The most important thing about the hardware I will consider, the class rules. How many rules do you think is reasonable? And how to reinforce? So, discussion.
Nobody is obeying the class rules. And because, and also when you look at some teachers, it seems that the teacher is okay with them not following the class rules.
Okay, any volunteers? I get 2 more pins to give away. Any volunteers? To tell me how many, what's the number you think is reasonable to set class rules? Give me a number and give me some techniques you use to reinforce. What will happen if they don't follow your class rules? Because it's easy for people to set rules, but how to reinforce something more important, because you can set 100 rules, but they don't even remember one, and nobody is obeying anything. Okay?
Well, I don't think I need this thing. My mouth is too big. That's way off. Okay, number 1, number of rules to set. That's really hard, because mine is almost 0. I have 1 rule, no pencils. And I love that rule. No pencils on your desk. So they have to put their pencil cases away. And it's a really good rule, because if the kids are playing with a pencil, they're not paying attention. That's it. But my most important rule for reinforcing is trying not to point out kids as much as possible. Tell them in general, if somebody's playing with a pencil, and ask them, everybody, is it okay to play with a pencil? Is it okay to do that? And it's like, no. If somebody's speaking in Chinese, I'll ask the whole class, is it okay if I'm speaking Chinese? Can you hear properly behind? And I'll ask it as a general question, get the kids to answer, instead of pointing at one person and saying, no, don't. Or I'll do it quietly. I'll walk past and tap on their desk and say, put it away. I try to do that as much as possible. But of course, as teachers, we're very busy. Do you understand? So a lot of times you can just say generally out loud, no pencils. No pencils, because if you're playing with a pencil, you're not paying attention. So it's very good every time you do it to reinforce why it's wrong. If you're playing with a pencil, nobody's paying attention to what you're saying. If you're speaking Chinese, the kids can kind of get to listen to you. It's easier to listen to Chinese than it is to English. So people are going to pay attention to their conversation, and they might even join into their conversation as well. So reinforcing in general is a really good idea. Go.
More volunteers. Derek.
Yeah, just something I don't really want to spend too much time up here. I think for me, my most important rule is respect. And maybe I don't, it's something that I should remember to remind the kids more about. But yeah, respect I think is just fundamental to any rule for me, because the kids need to respect each other and they need to respect their teachers. And so with classroom management, I think everything comes down to how much the kids are going to understand what respect means. So I always explain it to them. And I have a very simple way of explaining it, in that respect is not doing things other people don't like. So just fundamentally, not doing things your classmates don't like and not doing things your teachers don't like. And so the kids are very clear about how I define it, because I think, they're not very clear on what it means. If you go into the classroom, you say, respect each other, and then, but if you establish that boundary, of like, okay, now you're doing something that upsets other people, that's not respect anymore, and so, and then along with that, like being a responsible student is also about respecting yourself and respecting your own potential. So all of these things are tied into each other. So I have about 7 rules, but I relate them all to this idea of respect and how they all work together.
Thank you. Okay, I also want some of the teachers to share. Erica.
As I know, I think there are a lot of rules students need to follow. And what I do is I will ask them to take out like books on their desk, and if the best student, they can get the points. So the student will easy to follow up. Yeah, so it's the way that I reinforce them to keep all the rules.
Okay, thank you. So it's more like to reinforce the class rule by encouragement. Okay, one more. Rebecca. She's not here. Joanne not here. William.
I want to talk about how many classroom I need to set, because for me, I think 5 or 6 classroom rules are fine, so they can easy to remember. Because I found that if you set a couple of maybe 10 or 12 classroom more details, and they would forget easily. And I think 5 or 6 are fine. But I think the most important 3 class rules. The first one is, as Teacher Derek said, because you need to respect each other. This is the most important things the student need to follow. And for the second one, I think no shopping, because I think for big kids and they forgot the class rule easily, and I think this is quite useful for them. And we keep reminding them no shopping in the classroom, because sometimes after the break time, when they come back, they come inside the classroom, they keep speak loudly, and because they are energetic, and so this is the second rules for me. And for the third one, no running in the classroom, because for me, I teach for two different levels, grade 1 and grade 6 students. And for grade 4 students, I think sometimes they like to run in the classroom, and because this is for safety issues, and I think I keep reminding them no running in the classroom. So.
Okay, thank you. All right. I will tell you the answer. According to most of the teachers now, anyway, and also by the Bureau of Education Teachers Workshop, the best number of classroom is between 5 and 10. And it has to be very essential, fundamental thing. And most of them, they say to enforce, they kind of remind everybody to have positive reinforcement, praise, and adding points or merit card, and rather than punishment. And I think for your class rules to succeed, consistency is the key. Because if you set rules one day and tomorrow somebody violates that and you revise the rule again, and you're confusing your students. And when is the best time? Right from the start. Right from the start, from day one they're walking, you have already drew the boundary there. And every day you enforce. So every time they're going to have your class, they know what to expect. They know what they have to obey. It's not to get in trouble in the class. It's right from the start. And the class rules should be very simple, shouldn't be pretty difficult, use a lot of pretty precise program words, because your goal is to make sure they understand. It's short, it has to be limited, not excessive. It's better to be correct, better to have some words that will rhyme and repetitive. And this is something I brought up the other day in the workshop. Do you need to use Chinese in the classroom? My answer is still no. Because we have to encourage our students to speak English because they don't really speak English at home. So if you have already demonstrated that, it's okay for you to convert to another language. So they will be like, if the teacher can do it, why can't we? Especially older kids. But I do know there are some teachers they have been assigned to teach maybe off-level students. They really have very little understanding in English. What I did in the past was, in class, it's all English. In person, I will explain in Chinese for some specific students. But I made them realize, as though I'm teaching the front, if they really can understand some abstract words, I will try to ask some of other top students to help translate, just for the word alone. If nobody can say it, maybe that's my advantage. I just write it. I write it on the board, but I don't say it. So I keep on reinforcing and demonstrate that I am assigned to teach during, so I obey the rules, so you have to try your best. But in person, I will call them, but just in person I can explain them in Chinese. So this one I talked about it in the past. When you group them, you have to group them with roles. You have to kind of know what are top and middle and bottom students. For any project, for any group activities, you always have to have the thought. Because if you don't skillfully arrange them by the three mixture together, then if that group is always doomed to lose, therefore the student will be discouraged to learn. And the other one is always too strong. All the strong students are in one team. They're always winning and become very cocky. Later on, they feel like they don't need to learn in class because nothing is challenging. So when you group students for any activities, any project in the games, you really have to put it always into your consideration. And sometimes for higher level students, I kind of allow students to help determine the rules. I kind of lead them to that kind of democracy alone, but I kind of control it. I will set a framework and let them decide. And I let them choose one out of two. As they move up level, I let them choose one out of three. Especially for higher level kids, lower level, maybe you have to let them know your rules. But for high level kids, I kind of make them feel they kind of take part in this class rule setting. So when they disobey, I say, hey, you set the rules, not me. You set the rule, what the consequence will be. And you're telling me that your words are not valuable. So they will question themselves, more likely they will obey. So I say it's between 5 and 10 rules. But I talk about that you have to create a pretty positive classroom. My way to reinforce classroom is focus more on what students have done right. But when I say focus on what they have done right, it's not just like, hey, John, excellent. Hey, Chris, well done. I would say, John, excellent. For willing to share your personal pencil you want to prepare for you with your classmates without even being asked so. You are so generous. I try to make my praise very specific. Or even like a Chris has to go to a basketball match, so he came in to pick up his homework during the break time. Even I didn't ask him so. I would say, Chris, I'm so impressed by your initiative. You get so many other duties, but you still consider homework as a very important responsibility to come in here to pick up your homework. So you have to make them realize which parts of their decent activity you value. It's not just simply great job, well done, good. You praise and you have to let them know why. Same as when they have done something wrong, I always have 2 procedures to do with a student. When they don't obey something in class, of course, because you have curriculum to carry on. During class time, I will only reinforce by structure, by the consequence for those students with problems. But oftentimes, I will keep them during the break time after the class to talk them in person. And another tone of voice, more like, do you realize what you have done wrong in class? That's us to get this kind of consequence. I will spend time to explain them what they have done wrong to receive that. I think it's very important to just intimidate them because they have to know what they have done wrong as to correct the mistakes. If they just correct their behavior just by your volume, the consequence, but a lot of time, a lot of students really don't know what they have done wrong. So it's very important to have the second procedure also implemented. So that's why I say reward, praise in time, and specific. What do I mean in time? In my class, I do this reward calculation weekly. Just imagine that if today I'm giving you a reward for something you have done right 3 years ago, how will you feel? It's not as effective, it's not as strong in reinforcement. So I keep all this rewarding system to be bi-weekly. Every week I calculate. I give them what they get, And every new week is a brand new start. Because you have to give them a chance to start over. Because if your sorting, your rewarding is by semester, the students that are winning, they will be always winning, unless someone has made a major mistake. So what happened to the rest of the students? What happened to the middle students? They feel that it doesn't matter how hard they try. They are less likely to overturn the situation. So they will be losing their motivation. So it's very important to reward and praise in time. The timing is very important. And I know because we have different level students. For my class, I have 2 sets of scoring systems for their daily behavior or participation in the activity. I kind of divide into group efforts and also individual efforts. Because you have to think there are some top students having place in the group where there are a lot of middle students or bottom students. You also have to make her hard work being recognized. When I found out that the rest of the teammates are not doing anything, and this is time I use individual effort score, that I do recognize her hard work. And I also let the rest of the teammates realize I recognize as well. Because if you don't have the individual effort scoring, you are more likely to frustrate those top students. So this is something earlier, I think the beginning of last semester I have already brought up. For me, the tips for better class management is nothing else but love your students. When you walk into the classroom, your attitude already determines how your students are going to react with you. If you go in with an angry face all the time to the class and you are expecting them to love you and care about everything you say, do you think it's going to happen if you walk into the office every day? My face is always like a poker face, like Chris. I never smile at you. Will you smile back to me? Yeah, so same as the doubt for kids as well. Their feedback is very genuine. And always assume the best of your students. Assume they are just students with problems. They are not just born to be problematic students. Praise what and when you can, and do sweat the small stuff. That means even we set class rules, there are a lot of times they violate class. It's not really set there, maybe outside the rules. And it's very important for the homeroom or the teacher to stop in time. Maybe there are some misunderstanding between some teacher and student. A lot of time I felt was like the teacher didn't stop in time. If you let the student always joke with the foreign teachers and mock the teachers, and in the end, the class is less likely to respect the teacher. Because when you are in a class, you are the person to stop them in time to be the judge, to give the right justice. If you allow your student to mock on the bottom students every time and you don't even say a word, it's kind of like a silent assurance for them to keep on doing that. But as a teacher, if you just stop in time, you show them, you kind of guide them back to the way in time, then they're less likely to become something very furious in the back. And praise always in public, and rebuke in private. For something they have done wrong, I mostly like to whisper or pull them outside the classroom to make it personal. And for something they have done wrong, I have to exaggerate it in the class in public because I am expecting more students to follow the good behavior. And I have to try my best to minimize the bad behavior because you always correct them in front of the whole class all the time. Sometimes other students will know, oh, I could do that, I never thought of doing that. So, and also for the sake of their faith as well, because you kind of have to give them a step down, to correct the mistakes. Yes? left the classroom yet. But it's easier for the homeroom than the subject teachers. Yes, I will keep them until everybody has left the classroom to make it pretty personal. And identify yourself. In my classroom, I like to share a lot of stories. I like to let my students know more about me, same as I like to know more about them. The more you know about your customer, the more you are likely to serve them what they need. So that's my little thinking. And for class identity, I have a plan. You have to have your rule set early. You have everything planned ahead. Not to get the rules in the middle of the way. You have to think about it right before, because the best time is right from the start. And create a body classroom is you have to let the time middle bottom students kind of help each other. Okay? My next question, we only have 15 minutes left. I want us, because there aren't too many foreign teachers here, I was expecting more. Because I want to know, what do you expect from your co-teacher in the classroom? And what is the most challenging part to work with your co-teacher? You don't have to address can be anonymous. Okay, so let's have 3 minutes discussion. Because we only have 10 minutes left, I'm just going to go the ramble. Frank.
I help my co-teacher in the classroom. I just do my best. If the students are naughty in the class, I will just go close to the student and say, quiet, you need to respect the teacher. If you don't pay attention, you won't listen and you don't understand. Okay, so and if the foreign teacher has any problem, I will talk to him after class. So that's just what I can help them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll say,
All right. I also want different point of view.
you have to stand up or?
Yes.
I would say one thing, like some of us can handle a lot of stuff ourselves, discipline and all that stuff, but one thing we were talking about is having the class prepared and ready, and just having them know what's coming up next, or make sure that they have their books. One thing that I would really like is if when the bell rang, kids got the next book out and had that ready before they ran off to play, as opposed to like coming back and then they come back late and then get their books open. It takes a long time. But as far as like help in classroom management, I just wanted to say someone that I think does very well is Patricia. She is not always sitting there on the computer. She gets up and moves around the classroom and watches them, and then if they're not paying attention or doing something, she just comes over to them and just like touches them or something, and they're like, oh, and then they're paying attention. And it doesn't distract from what I'm doing, and it's it's just a great way to get them paying attention without disrupting, and I appreciate that she does that.
Oh, lucky Chris. Lily is not here. Trisha. Don't want to speak again. John already joined us.
Oh.
Lee.
I was talking to Derek, and then he said he never expect co-teacher to help because we are all very busy sitting in front of the computer screen, and then I said, you say it all in that sentence. For what should I just I don't know what is the most challenging part, because we Chinese teachers have to teach grammar and forms from ourselves. And so I don't have anything to say about co-teacher. But then, at the first point, what do you expect from your co-teacher? I thought. What I always did is that for those kids who never pay attention, and then when the subject teacher calls his name, or if he or she causes any problem, I'll just move close to him and remind him or ask him to go outside and have a little chat with them. And then like the rules, the subject teacher which want us to help, like put all the books or ask the student to be on time before they came in, that I will always constantly remind them to do so and follow. Yes.
So for me, I think, as a co-teacher in the past 18 years, what I expect from my co-teacher is well prepared for your lesson and teach professionally. And conduct successful class management with structures, not with emotions. When you have the structure set, you can give them the consequence with a big smile. You don't need to get angry. And not to mention there are some kids, you don't need to give them a lengthy lecture because they don't get it. There are so many words they don't get it. The only thing they remember is your angry face. So I often like to give them the consequence with a big smile. And of course in classroom be friendly, be respectful, because you have to demonstrate respect, because you are the role model of your class. If you don't respect each other, how could you expect your students to respect the teachers? And be proactive, because in classroom there are so many things unexpected likely to happen. You have to be proactive, not only do what you're asked to. Sometimes you must do what you have to. Observant, cooperative, and stay positive. And of course again, you have to pair up your students purposely for activities. And of course for your lessons, a lot of time I find out there are some teachers, they always have some visual aids. It will help a lot. Because as I say, a pink color plain shape with 4 sides and 4 right angles, you are less likely to imagine what that is, but simply just a picture explains it all. Same as some vocabulary. Most of the vocabulary you could actually find images. You don't have to give them all these words, just one image. That's enough. Because they are only 10% of the students are auditory. So why do we have all our instruction, all our lessons by teaching them by auditory approach and not by any, not with any visual aids? So you can a lot of times use videos and images to reinforce. So like for our work, there are a lot of videos, pictures. And if you want to use other websites to find images, you really need to scan them first. Yes, because I did find there are teachers that just borrow my computer or search for the image, and when making the keywords, a lot of weird pictures kind of come out. So you actually have to watch it first to see if it's appropriate. Like for science, if it's too bloody, you cannot overwhelm them. So I was going to ask you guys to think about this as well. What is the most challenging behavior of a student which you totally have a hard time to have it under control? That you find that it doesn't matter what kind of techniques and approach, you just couldn't nail the student at all? Ever? Can we just spend 1 minute and think about it? Yeah, are you the only one who hasn't spoken yet?
I mean, you were beautiful sister, remember that? So I have no time to put my name in.
Really? Just put your name in?
I have no chance.
Baby, she already wrapped. Katie, already said something. Do you want to share some of this? Do you have any feelings about this to share with us? Yeah, you want to share with us? What? Katie! Katie, come on, you haven't spoken yet.
I'm very hungry now. Everything just, without. But if you...
Nobody wants, okay.
No.
Yes, nobody. So, okay, lucky you. You guys are teachers, you cook with enough tools and techniques. For me, I don't know either. I'm just wondering because I think we can brainstorm it. So So if you have any students, they have some kind of behavior problem, the same procedure I would like to reinforce. Remind the person first. If it doesn't work, can ask them to stay in a quiet corner. If you have already tried, you couldn't, take away this disruption, then you can let the home get into help. And we cannot set kids outside the classroom, but you can send them to next door classroom, but I would say within 5 minutes the best. Do not never let the students stand in the hallways alone. Especially those kids that have behavior problems. Set them in the hallway. They feel this more like encouragement because they just don't want to be in the classroom to learn. And some of them will even run away, and then admins will have to run around the school to locate that problematic student. So get it, let the admin get into help, and in the end, if we couldn't do anything, we'll send to the general office and come to the parents, and we will start the referral process. But since there is only one counselor at school, there are 1,200 students, you really don't want to activate this referral process unless it's really necessary. And not to mention, if we had to activate this referral process, all the teachers have to start doing those paperwork, and they have to have a record. But I do recommend, if you have been having students have this long time having problems, do keep records. It's to help yourself as well, just in case one day you need that to back you up. And contact the parents, and advise the counselor, and maybe we'll get some medical attention and care, and etc., etc. And in the end, I hope you guys, that's what I always have to say. We are English teachers, but we are not just teaching English. You have to know we are teaching a language, we are part of the life, we are showing them what people are like, their lifestyle. And so your role is more than just teaching them the knowledge. You are their role model. You guide them throughout the way. You play a major role in their life, the journey of life. So if you do realize that, you set your heart right, and everything just comes easy. And I hope today's workshop is helpful to all of you. Thanks for your presence. Thank you. Perfect timing, see?